Do we? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is the Black Eye Podcast, and I am your host, Michelle. I'm just going to jump right into it because I am upset at what I have been seeing on this platform. I am outraged. I am perturbed. I am beyond shocked at the reactions to this woman, this ISIS, this trophy wife, this trad wife. I am upset at the reactions that I have seen on this platform. I am outraged. Now, those of you who know the story and you've seen this before, you know I'm not going to play the whole video, but I am going to react to something very much uh uh blah, blah. I'm sorry, I'm losing it here. But I am going to react to a portion of what she talked about in her video because I think it's very important that we actually listen to the words that came out of her mouth. And I can't believe that you all watch this video, watch this woman's emotional trauma, and thought to yourself, well, we got to find some way to hold her accountable. We got to find some way to make this a cautionary tale. We got to find some way to smear Shara 7 or Shara 7, whatever her name is. We got to find some way to put this up here on her because she's out here telling these women that they can find a provider man and that they can find a good man. And it's wrong for them to want anything good. I am so sick of content creators who get up on these goddamn platforms and decide that they need to hold people accountable for what other people do. I want to be clear here. This woman, Shara 7, and the desire to have a good and happy marriage or relationship is not responsible for the depravity of this monster. Let me be clear. Just in case somebody said I didn't hear it well enough. I heard you. And I'm saying that this woman is not responsible for the depravity of her husband. This is not about taking accountability. She did the right thing. When she recognized something was wrong, she did something about it. But to sit here and imply on your thumbnails and in your because I didn't listen to all your content because your thumbnails, I was averred by that. I stayed away from, steered away from this. But you implied that Sheriff 7 gave them bad advice, and this is what happens when you. This could happen if you were dating and marrying a person who was a bus driver. This could happen to anybody. This is not something that you can even know anything about. You can't possibly, if somebody wants to hide it from you, know what's going on in the workings of other people's heads. People are shocked that their kids do what they do. You are shocked. We know nothing. We don't deal in flesh and blood. This is not about flesh and blood because you can't discern your way out of this. But to sit here on this platform and find a way to insinuate that, oh, you see, if she had not taken Sheriff 7's, advice, this probably wouldn't have happened. See, Sheriff 7 is setting you all up for danger. What the What the fuck is wrong with you? You think that she was looking for a monster? Oh God, I think I want to marry a monster. What the fuck is wrong with you? Women don't want to take it. This is not about women taking accountability. This is about a fucking monster who presented himself to be a fine, upstanding, good Christian, righteous man. Deceit works, people. It works. If somebody wants to deceive you and they don't want you to see something, you won't see it. This is not her fault. And now we want to be angry with her because she wanted a good marriage. She was happy in her marriage. This is the mind. This is how twisted we have all become because she wanted to be, she was happy in her marriage. And then to add things to the video, she said she saw something. She said she saw things she didn't like. Let me tell you something about relationships. When you've been in them long enough, everybody sees something that they don't like. That doesn't necessarily indicate that the person is a monster. They're just not, there's more to people than meets the eye. You be in a relationship long enough, there are a lot of things you don't like. That doesn't mean that she was ignoring red flags. People have aspects to their personalities. But of course, y'all want to blame this woman. You want to put the blame on her. And then you're going to say here and say, hey, you don't want to be accountable because women and that. What the? It is pure fucking jealousy. As I, you want to know why I'm so angry? I actually been seeing thumbnails and titles. You know, pick me's who have her pergamy. It never ends well. What? No, no. That is not the tone to take when there are children involved. My God, you are all fundamentally evil. Oh, my heart goes out. No, it don't. It don't go out for them babies because you're still trying to find a way to blame the mother. You're still trying to throw her under the bus and run it over her. I want to play a piece of the video in which she described her husband. Now, I didn't see the other one where she met her husband or anything, but she gives a brief description of what she thought of him. And what she thought of him had very little to do with money. But of course, y'all won't see that. But I want to share it anyway.
Husband or saw him as the bar um, for what every woman should, type of man that or type of husband that every woman should aspire to have. And I didn't realize that the person I married was actually going to be my biggest nightmare.
You never do.
So basically, when I first met my husband, as I've already talked about in another video, I think it was my single mom video. I explained, a little bit about how we met And I really thought that that man was my Prince Charming. Um, so when I first met my husband, I thought that he was my Prince Charming. I thought that he was my knight in shining armor, and he portrayed himself to be this amazing, upright, righteous Christian man.
Mhm.
And I believed him. Um, I think shortly after we got married, and this is something that I haven't talked about, I started noticing like certain things changed with him. And I just started to see a few things that I didn't like. But
Mhm.
I honestly thought that some of these were things that I could get past. Um, it's like sad to even say like I could get past some of these things.
I want to share something with you uh about how we don't wrestle with flesh and blood because we really don't. We really really don't. I've been reading this book for about 10, I don't know, it's a lot shorter than that. I was going to say 10 years, but it wasn't 10 years. I think maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. I came by it through a content creator, which the content creator, he was talking about grandiosity. And he cited this book, how, how evil presents itself as one thing and changes over to another. And when I heard her story, that part right there, how he presented himself to be a fine, upstanding Christian man, because clearly he was a predator, you know, clearly that's what he was. But he presented himself as a fine, upstanding, righteous Christian man, the type of man that you could rest in. This is why I don't like that resting in femininity bullshit, because there is no rest. There is no rest. But there were two things that stood out to me that occurred to her and made her, because she who is equipped to discern what's going on here? Who is equipped? That's why she can't be uh held accountable for his actions, because he knew what he was. He knew what he was doing. He made a decision to be that person and to do the things he did. He made a conscious decision. And so In this book by Robert L. Moore called Facing the Dragon, he said about, I think it's like 10 or 13 tenets of evil and how humans are ill equipped to deal with it. And one of the things she said about him, her, mm, is that he presented himself to be a fine, upstanding individual. And it says here in tenet number 4, well, actually, we can go back to tenet number 3. The chief tactic of evil is to present the human individual and community with a false, deceptive representation of reality. In short, it lies. So he lied to her about who he was and what he was. He lied. And she has a thing there, a little blurb of what had been going on with her. Number 4, it says, evil therefore has the capacity to clothe and disguise itself in forms that seem innocent, good, or at least justified, and have a seductive attractiveness. That's what he did. He presented himself to be good, righteous, Christian man. Number 5, I think, is what happened to her as well. It says, being near this evil enchantment causes you to lose your powers of discernment and vigilance, and your spiritual and moral light grows dim. She was talking about, and it's written out there. I don't know if I can say it. I already got warnings from YouTube. But what had been going on with her was beginning to erode her vigilance and her moral compass. Because she sat here and she said, these are things I can overcome. I can overcome this. And when I read it there, the little what she wrote, I was like, how do you think you could overcome that? Because if what has happened to you is a violation, then there is no overcoming, especially that one. Because the R word is violence. It has nothing to do with sex. So again, it said, being near this enchantment causes you to lose powers of discernment and vigilance, and your spiritual and moral light. It does that. It comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Number 6, an evil presence can get inside your community, your family, your home, and body, and even your psyche. It was already there. He had already insinuated, because he knew exactly what he was. He's a predator. He's a monster. He knew what he was. The wolf you see coming, the fox you think is a pet. But he knew what he was. And he insinuated himself and presented himself as a solution to her problem, even though she wasn't probably presenting herself as having in need of a solution. But he presented himself as a solution to her problem. The gold standard. Every woman would want a man like this. I want to share with you how to get a man like this. He presented himself. He was already in her psyche, tearing down her walls, tearing down her defenses. Before you realize the danger exists, it is already in the house by the time you realize you have a problem. Thank God she was vigilant enough to recognize what was going on with her daughter, to check it out, to confirm her suspicions, and to get the fuck out of there. Forgive my language. But this is what scares me most of all. This is what terrifies me. Most women are not equipped for what is out there. Most people are not equipped for what is out there. Do you see, if you paying attention to the preacher, the world of the ministry out there, those men are falling like flies to sexual misconduct. There is something fundamentally wrong. Wrong. And I can't believe that nobody's really paying attention to what, because she said it. He presented himself to be a fine, upstanding Christian man, the gold standard. Who wouldn't fall for that? Who wouldn't fall? Listen, manipulators understand what lazy men don't. This is horrifying. Horrifying. I was nauseous just thinking about it. And for content creators to casually imply that somehow she was responsible for his decision, that she is accountable for his actions. Do you not see what you're dealing with? Did you not see what she was dealing with? Oh, that's not what I said. No, it's probably I didn't listen to your video because I don't want to listen to your video. I don't want to give anybody who's making those type of implications my attention. But I want to be clear about this. I want to be clear about this young woman. I've seen her. I didn't watch her content, but I have seen her. I watch a little bit of Shara 7. Shira 7. I'm sorry, am I pronouncing that correct? I watch a little bit of her. She's on my channel. I didn't before I knew who she was, I was like a fan. But I wasn't a fan, but I like what she said. Because mostly what she's talking about is women being responsible for themselves and taking control of your life and not settling for broke ass motherfuckers who make your life miserable. But what happened with this woman had nothing to do with that. This could have very well happened to from a truck driver or what do you call those people who Lord, I can't even think right now. I'm really like I'm really upset to the point where I cannot articulate my thoughts, but it could happen with anybody. What is that? Any of these blue collar jobs. Depravity is depravity, no matter how much money you make. And I just really wanted to come up here and respond to that because I'm really horrified that people are using her trauma as a cautionary tale against Shara 7 and trying to tie her to this. Mm, that's just crazy. That's crazy to me. But I wanted to share this because we don't have the tools to really discern ourselves out of this mess. And yes, we have to be careful. Yes, we have to be vigilant. Yes, we have to be mindful. We have to have all those things. Because as women, we can't rest. And this is sad. This is beyond sad. This is, I mean, my mind is absolutely positively blown. But I'm more perturbed, which is a very small word for how I really feel, uh, with the reactions I see on these platforms. Anyway, I wanted to share that because this is what this poor lady was going through here, Isis. This is what she was going through. She married a monster, someone you couldn't, he's hiding. But when evil makes its move, you really don't have anything to clock it except do what she did, which was to get away from it. And I'm really sad because on this platform, no one is really giving tools because you can't discern your way out of it. You can't think your way out of it. You can't woulda, shoulda your way out of it. If it were me, I would have my way. Anyways, I wanted to come up here and put my 2 cents worth into it and talk about how, this is not on her. This is not her responsibility. His depravity, and I keep saying it until y'all get tired of hearing me say, his depravity is not her fault. His problems are not her fault. She is not responsible for what he is and what he presented himself to be. That is on him. And she did the right thing by getting away from him as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Tell me what you think in the comments.